Today, we're going to learn 3 different ways you can turn your paddleboard from beginner level to pro level. I'll give you tips and tricks on how to feel more stable on your board, plus how to work your way up to doing more challenging turns. So, if you're up for the challenge and want to be more efficient at your turns, then let's get started. This video is brought to you by Waterspeed. So the first turn we're going to talk about today is a basic sweeping turn. And yes, you can see my mouth is moving in this video, and it's simply because for some reason my mic decided not to work today. So I'm going back over and doing a voiceover for this video. First things first, in order to do a basic sweeping stroke, we first want to make sure we're standing in the correct spot on our paddleboard, which is the center location. If you're unsure where the center location is on your paddleboard, simply locate the handle and stand on either side of that handle, roughly shoulder width apart. Once you have done this, you simply want to reach forward with your paddle blade and turn the face of your blade inwards towards the paddleboard. And what I mean by that is the face of the blade is a part of the blade that is curved upwards. So basically the part that is pointing up is the front side of your face. So once again, you want to reach forward and turn that face inwards towards your paddleboard. Bear it in the water and then push your blade all the way around to the back side or the tail end of your paddleboard. Then you'll bring the blade forward once again and repeat the process. You also want to make sure you use your core muscles to bring that paddle blade all the way around to the back of your board with each sweeping stroke. What you don't want to do is try and lean too far out, bring your center of gravity off the center line of your paddleboard, make it harder for you to balance, and you'll probably fall into water. So rather, once again, focus on using that core, bring that blade from the front of your board all the way back around to the back of your board. If you want to turn right, simply do large sweeping strokes on the left side of your paddleboard. And likewise, if you want to turn left, simply do big sweeping strokes on the right side of your paddleboard. Let's now talk about the cross bow turn. And unlike the sweeping stroke where we keep our blade to one side of our paddleboard the whole time, we're now going to start with our blade on the other side of our paddleboard, go up and over our paddleboard, and around to the other side. Hence the name cross bow. For this turn, you want to start with your paddle blade on the side of your paddleboard in the direction you want to turn. So for example, if you want to turn left, you're going to start with your blade on the left side of your board. And vice versa, if you want to turn right, you want to start with your blade on the right side of your board. As you go to bury your blade in the water, you also want to make sure that the face of your blade is now facing away from your paddleboard. Then as you bring it towards your paddleboard, you go up and over the side of your board, back in the water again, and finish the rest of the stroke with a wide sweeping turn towards the tail of your board. You can also choose to simply do one bow turn across your board and then do the rest of your turn, finishing it out with just doing wide sweeping strokes this side of your board. I find that I'm able to turn my paddleboard at a much faster rate, especially during the first half of my turn when I start off with a cross bow turn, as I pull the nose of my board directly towards my paddle blade. Another tip for doing cross bow turns is hand placement. For example, if I want to turn to my left, I want to make sure my left hand is on top of my paddle shaft, and my right hand is just above the halfway point of my paddle shaft for good reach. Then I'll insert my blade into the water to the left hand side again, cross the bow, and do a large sweeping stroke to the right side. Then vice versa, if I want to turn to the right, I simply want to make sure my right hand is on top of my paddle shaft, and my bottom hand is just above the halfway point of my paddle shaft for good reach once again. Real quick before we dive into the next turn, I want to give a huge thank you to Waterspeed for sponsoring today's video. Waterspeed is a revolutionary app created by water sports enthusiasts for water sports enthusiasts. Designed to track your sessions, analyze your performance, and see how you're progressing, no matter what your favorite water sport is. I personally love using their app to keep track of all my paddle sessions in one location where I can easily go back and review my stats from previous paddleboard sessions. As of right now, I use a Garmin watch to record my paddleboarding session while on the water, and then afterwards that data automatically is sent to my Waterspeed account where I can easily review it and see how my session went. The Waterspeed app also works incredibly well with Apple Watches, and you can even connect your Waterspeed account to your Strava account as well. So to learn more about Waterspeed and to download their free app today, simply visit their website at waterspeedapp.com. Finally, let's now talk about the pivot turn. Now this turn is geared towards more the advanced paddler with someone who has more experience with paddleboarding on the water and has good balance on their paddleboard. This turn is also very popular for those who do paddleboard races, as it allows them to do fast and efficient turns around buoys. To start this turn, you want to pivot your front foot inwards toward the center line of your paddleboard. Since I'm goofy foot, that means my left foot is back, so my right foot is going to be my forward foot. When it comes to practicing this turn, I also like to get a little forward momentum going on my board so I can have some more force against my fin, which in return gives me more stability while paddling and practicing this turn on the water. As well as I always use my paddle blade for support and bracing on the water during this turn also, so whenever I feel off balance, I can simply lean on my paddle blade, pushing myself upright again. Once I have some forward momentum going, I first want to start off by pivoting my front foot, which for me is my left foot, inwards towards the center line of my paddleboard. Then I'm going to move my left foot back to the center line of my paddleboard and shuffle my front foot, which is my right foot, back towards my left foot, and then slide my left foot back to the tail of my board, and I'll be ready to start my pivot turn. If you prefer, you can also do a walking cross step to the back of your board as well. This one does require a little bit more skill and is more popular for those who have a surfing background and are more comfortable with balancing on their board. But for me, I simply prefer the sliding shuffle method. Once you're back in your pivot turn stance, I do like to keep a wide gap between my back foot and my front foot. This allows me to have more control over how high or how low I keep the nose of my board when doing a pivot turn, as I'm able to shift my weight to my front foot or back foot more easily. Likewise, I also like to keep a low stance, keeping my center of gravity lower to the water surface, giving me more stability once again. If you stand up too tall, your center of gravity is going to be higher off the water and you find it more difficult to balance while doing this turn. The easiest type of turn to be doing in a pivot turn stance is large sweeping strokes on your toe side. Once again, you want to start with the face of your blade pointing towards your paddle board as you enter the water, then do a large sweeping stroke all the way back towards the back of your board. And since you're already standing on the back of the board, you can actually reach further behind you, so you can bring that blade all the way back behind you as well, doing an even larger circle in the water. Now ideally, if you had really good balance, you'd be able to step back with your opposite foot, so for me it would be my right foot, and do the same style of stroke on the other side of your paddleboard in order to turn the opposite direction. But for most people like myself, this is very hard to do, as when we switch our stance on the paddleboard, it's much harder to balance on the water. So for me, since I'm goofy footed, in order to turn left, I now have to do a heel side turn. And since I'm in a sideways position here on my paddleboard, it's much harder to do a full sweeping stroke to the back of my board. So rather, I focus on taking shorter half sweeping strokes out from my paddleboard at a faster rate, getting the nose of my board around and turned around to the left. Or in order to do a faster left-hand turn, I can start off doing a cross bow turn, and then finish things off with doing a few quick strokes on the right-hand side of my paddleboard. So I hope that you guys found today's video helpful, and if you did and have not subscribed to the channel yet, I encourage you guys to do so. Check out some more tips and videos on my channel. I'll catch you guys on the water.